All right, chapter 10 review. Number 93. Write an equation of a parabola with the vertex at the origin and the focus at negative 2, 0. So let's plot this before we do anything. So we draw our graph. We know the origin is at 0, 0, and the focus is at negative 2, 0. And what do we remember about parabolas? They always encompass their focus. So this parabola encompasses the x-axis. So we know it's going to be x equals ay squared. And since it's going to the left, we know our a value is going to be negative. So by just looking at it in multiple choice, we can see that it's going to be a. But let's go ahead and work it. Our a value for a parabola is 1 over 4c. And our c value is the distance from the focus to the vertex. So that distance is 2. And again, it's going to be a positive number because distance is always positive. So our a value is 1 over 4 times 2, which is 1 over 8. But since the orientation tells us it's left, the equation is really x equals negative a y squared. So now we just replace the a with the 1/8. So negative 1/8 y squared. And that is our answer. 94. Okay, identify the focus and the directrix of the graph y equals negative 1/12 x squared. Okay, first let's go ahead and just plot this a little bit. Since it's y equals, we know it's a parabola, and we know it's going to be encompassing the y-axis, and since our a value is negative, we know it's going to go down. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, so we've got to identify the focus and the directrix. Well, the focus is somewhere down here, encompassing the parabola, and the directrix is equidistant above it as a straight line. So we remember a equals 1 over 4c, and c equals the distance from the vertex to the focus. So our a value is negative 1/12. So negative 1/12 equals 4c. So we can cross multiply and we're going to get 4c equals negative 12. Our c value is going to then divide by 4 equal negative 3. Okay, that's not our answer per se, but that tells us our direction. So the point of the focus, it traveled 0 units on the x-axis and negative 3 on the y. So that's our focus. Our focus is at 0, negative 3. Our directrix is equidistant. So if I went 3 units down from the vertex, I'd have to go 3 units up. And since that's a horizontal line, the equation of that line would be y equals 3. So I have a focus at 0, negative 3, so possibly a or c, and my directrix is y equals 3. So the answer would be C. Okay, 95. Write an equation of a circle with the center at negative 5, negative 8, and a radius of 2. Well, the standard equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k are the center of the circle and r is the radius. Well, they give us the center, so that's our h and k value, and they give us the radius, so that's our r value. So now it's just plug and chug. So it's going to be x minus, since that's a negative 5 squared plus y minus negative 8 squared equals 2 squared. So it's going to be x plus 5 squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 4. So that looks like B. Okay, number 96. Write an equation in standard form for the circle. So we need to find the radius and the center of this thing. So that looks like the center. So the center would be, looks like we go left 1 and down 3. So negative 1, negative 3. The radius would be, looks like 2 units. So again, our standard equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And remember, hk represents our center. So x minus negative 1 squared plus, and see what I'm doing when I write the negative, listen to me when I do it, y minus, and since it's negative 3, I'm going to go negative 3 squared equals 2 squared, and 2 squared is 4. So it's going to be x plus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. Answer is B. Next, 97. Find the center and the radius of the circle with the equation. So again, we know it's x minus h and y minus k. So our h value is 5. Our k value is negative 6. So the center of this thing is 5, negative 6. This is, we know, r squared. So r squared equals 9. So r equals the square root of 9. So r equals 3. So the answer is D. 98. Write an equation in standard form of an ellipse that has a vertex at 5, 0 and a covertex at 0, negative 3. Okay, well, the vertex is the major axis and the covertex is the minor axis. So let's plot this thing. And let's kind of graph it and see what's going on here. So vertex at 5, 0. Let's use red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. So there's a vertex at 5, 0. We have a covertex at 0, negative 3. Okay, so we know there's the center at 0, 0. And here's what we know. We know if we have a covertex at 0, negative 3, we know we have another covertex at 0, 3. And if we have a vertex at 5, 0, we know we have a vertex at negative 5, 0. So there's our sketch. I know it didn't ask for this, but I'm just trying to give you some groundwork. Okay, our A value is our major axis from the center of the ellipse to one of the vertices. So that distance is 5, and that's going to travel with the x-axis because it's on the x-axis. Our covertex is the minor axis, and the B value for this is our B value, and that was our A value, is the distance from the center to the covertex. So that distance would be 3. And to clarify, our A value is the distance from the center to the vertex. So I have A equals 5, B equals 3. Our equation, in this sense, since x is the major axis, is x squared over A squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. So x squared over 5 squared plus y squared over 3 squared equals 1. So we can rewrite this as x squared over 25 plus y squared over 9 equals 1. So it looks like the answer is C. 99. Find the focus, or find the foci of an ellipse with an equation x squared over 49 plus y squared over 64 equals 1. And then it says graph it, okay? So this is going to be x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared. The reason it's b is because that number is less. The reason that's a, because that number is bigger. Okay? So, equals 1. So on an ellipse, I have an a value and I have a b value. Okay? Our a value is the biggest value. Our c value, okay, is basically we're going to use the Pythagorean Theorem to find the c value. So in this case, it is a squared equals b squared plus c squared. Okay? where c squared represents our distance for the focus. So what's our a squared value? 64 equals 49 plus c squared. So subtract, I get 15 equals c squared. So our c value is the square root of 15. Okay, the question is, what is our major axis? Our major axis is the y. Okay, our major axis is the y. So the foci are going to be on the y-axis. So the foci are going to have a plus and minus. Since there's no distance traveled on the x value would be 0. The y value of the focus would be plus or minus the square root of 15. Okay, we're not done yet. Let's go back to our a squared and b squared values. I'm going to go circle that. So what is the square root of 64? That's 8. So that tells you the distance from the center to the axes on the y-axis. So it should be plus and minus 8. This 49, what's the square root of 49? Is 7. So our a value is 8. Our b value is 7. That tells us our distance from the center to the co-vertices. And our foci would be at 0 plus or minus square root of 15 because it would have to be on the major axis. So the answer would be A. (100). Find the foci for the graph x squared over 25 minus y squared over 19. Or sorry, y squared over 16. So quickly, we'll do it the long way around up. X squared over, it's going to be a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. Remember, on hyperbolas, the first term, the positive term, always gets the a distinction. What does a represent? The distance from the center to the vertex. So the distance from the center of the vertex will be 0, 5. So that a value is 5. And this is also the a value, and it is 5. The b value represents from the vertex going perpendicular, in this case up or down. So if a squared is 25 and a is 5, b squared is 16, so b is 4. So we're going to go up 4, down 4 from each vertex, up 4, down 4. That's our b values. And this creates our central rectangle. The c value we need is the distance of this diagonal, and it's going to fall somewhere in there. So our c value for a hyperbola is bigger than the a or b. So for the Pythagorean theorem, our c value is the hypotenuse. So we can say c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Okay? So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So c squared equals, a squared was 25, b squared was 16. So c squared equals 41. So c equals the square root of 41. Okay, if you remember on hyperbolas, our foci is always going to lie on the axis that's positive. So it's going to lie somewhere on this axis. We found our c value. Our c value is square root of 41. So we know the foci are going to lie on the x-axis, so it's going to be somewhere here, somewhere here. So it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 41, comma, 0. Okay. So it looks like it's got to be the A. And another thing to keep in mind is it's always going to transverse the positive axis. So number 100 is A. 101. Find the equation with the hyperbola of A equals 452, C equals 756, and assume the transverse axis is horizontal. Okay, so what we know is the base equation, if we know this, is transverse axis is horizontal. It's going to be x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. Okay, we know our a value. Our a value is 452. So a squared would be 452 squared. So let's get our handy dandy calculator out. 452 squared. So our A value is 204,304. 204,304. Okay, actually we could stop right there. The answer is A. Okay, so if you're taking a multiple choice test, you're good there. But let's go ahead and find the B value. Okay, in hyperbolas, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So we need to go find B squared. So C squared minus A squared equals B squared. So let's find it. Okay, so our C value was 765. So 765 squared minus our answer, the one we just did, and we get 380,921. So B squared equals 380,921. So again, that matches our value of A. Next problem. 102. Find the center and the radius of a circle with the equation x minus 1 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 4. Well, circles are x minus 8 squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So our h value looks like 1, our k value looks like -1, our r squared equals 4, so our r equals the square root of 4, which would be 2. So the center is 1, -1, and the radius is 2. So it looks like the answer is D. Okay, that concludes this part.